أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. For the love of our beloved Prophet and his beloved progeny, please recite a second loud salawat. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجه. For the hastening in the return of our beloved 12th Imam, please recite a third and loud final salawat. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. The topic that we were discussing last night or yesterday had to do with the idea and the concept of professionalism. We said this is a concept that if you look at the world today and you look at the countries that are considered successful, sometimes we use this word or this term of first world countries, although initially that term wasn't used as something to show admiration for these countries. But now it's turned into a word that we use for admiration. When you look at these first world countries, you find that one of the main reasons they have been able to achieve the feats and the achievements and the goals that they have achieved, it's because they have been able to instill this culture, this value of professionalism in the work that they do in the workplace, for example. We said this is so important and compelling that sometimes you find people, they will travel thousands of miles, they will leave behind their families, their culture, their own country, so that they can come, for example, to a country like this, so that they can work in a professional environment. They can perfect that craft that they are working on, that profession that they are trying to attain. And this is so much, you find this so much that sometimes in this country, even if someone is producing a product or a service that is considered evil from our perspective, that is considered a product that does humanity no good, still when you go to the people who are producing that product or that service, they will tell you, they will say, we are professionals at what we do. They take their job seriously, even though they might even know that what they're doing does not help humanity at all. It harms humanity more than it helps people. Still, that person will say what? I'm a professional. Sometimes that value is so important that it overshadows what it is that you are a professional at. Just the fact that you are professional becomes this valuable. This is on one hand, brothers and sisters. On the other hand, when we look at our own culture, at our own families and communities, what do you find? You find that the more someone displays professionalism, the more we feel like this person is not spiritual. The more we feel like this person is entangled and engaged with the dunya so much. If you give the person a task and he does it on time, you say, oh, he's just so worried about this stuff. Whereas if you have someone, you ask them to do something, and they throw in a couple of words that has something to do with God. Inshallah, I'll take care of it. Inshallah, come tomorrow. Inshallah, it'll be taken care of. And then you go tomorrow. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't allow me to take care of this today. Inshallah, come tomorrow. I'll take care of it tomorrow. If you throw in a couple of words like that, what do you say? You say, this brother, he's mutadayyin. You see what he said? He said, Inshallah. He delayed the work, but he put it on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's spiritual. Where you look at the Quran explains to us the relationship between spirituality and work. How do we see it? We see it this way. The less work you do, the less entangled and engaged you get in these types of affairs, the more spiritual you are. But when it comes to the Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained this relationship in the exact opposite way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells His Prophet, go and build your spirituality, so that the next day when you get up and you go out into the world, you can delve into these affairs and you can execute my commands. My commands are going to be executed in your day-to-day affairs. When you look at Surah Al-Muzammil, the whole idea of Surah Al-Muzammil being revealed upon the Prophet has to do with this particular issue. Starts out, it says, Ya ayyuhal muzammil, the one who's wrapped himself up in his clothes, in his cloth. قُمِ اللَّيْلَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Get up, start doing this worship, start doing this Salatul Layl that we have made wajib upon you. For the Prophet it was wajib. Get up, recite the Quran. Why? Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pressuring the Prophet so much? Because the Quran says, إِنَّا سَنُلْقِي عَلَيْكَ قَوْلًا ثَقِيلًا. Because there is going to be a time where we are going to send down upon you some very heavy words, some very heavy commands. If you want to be able to take these commands out into your day-to-day life, and execute them and take care of them and be successful in life, you have to build that spirituality at the nighttime. Inna nashi'at al-layl hiya ashad wa aqwam. You want to build spirituality? You build spirituality so that you can go out, use that spirituality in the world to get work done. This is not the right type of spirituality where you're spiritual and you just sit there doing nothing. No. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala adds this verse. He says, Inna laka fin nahari sabhan tawila. We know that every night you do ibadah to us. The next morning you have to do sabh. You have to delve into all of the day-to-day affairs that you're dealing with. If you want to be able to do that, if you want to work hard when things are becoming even more difficult, you have to build that spirituality at night. You have to build that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the case of the Prophet, at night. So you see here, brothers and sisters, the idea that we have that you should stay away from work to become spiritual, the Prophet and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us, no, you become spiritual so that you can go out and do the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever that the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may be. Sometimes it's as simple as providing for your family. Sometimes it might be other work that you're doing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Recite as-salawat, please. So we said this concept of professionalism as a term, you don't find it in Islam. But if you break it down a little bit and you take a look at the essence of this term, you find that there are 3 or 4 characteristics. When you find these 3 or 4 characteristics in someone, you point to that person, you say, this person, he's a professional, don't worry about him. What are these 3 or 4 characteristics? Number 1, we talked about the first one yesterday. The idea that this person puts in work and hard work and extra work. He goes above and beyond expectations. This is number 1. Number 2, this person, and this is where we will continue our discussion from, brothers and sisters. Number 2, this person is not easily distracted. Meaning what? If he's busy, he's doing your work, you come around him, you want to laugh, you want to have fun, you want to joke around with him, he'll sit there and say, no, wait a second. I'm taking care of something. I'm a professional. I'm going to take care of this. I'm not going to be distracted. This is number 2. Number 3, the person is able to keep his word and keep his promise. He says, I'm going to take care of this by tomorrow. That means it's going to be taken care of by tomorrow. And number 4, that when this person takes care of something, any project, be it small or big, he does it in a neat and organized fashion. Sometimes it's so neat, sometimes you just want to sit there and watch this person doing what he's doing. Even though it's something considered very small, something very mundane and normal, you just want to sit there and watch this person doing what he's doing. That's how neatly and in such an organized fashion that he is working. Yesterday, we talked about the first aspect. Inshallah, tonight, we will talk about the next 3 characteristics, what Islam has to say about those. And then we will move on to probably the most important point of this whole talk, and that is this. What is the point that Islam adds to this discussion that you cannot learn from the Western viewpoints? The Western viewpoint, what we are taught here, it lacks a very important ingredient. Islam is able to add that. This is what makes Islam superior to the viewpoint that we hear out there. What is that ingredient? Inshallah, we will get to that after we discuss these first 3 characteristics. Please recite salawat. So the second characteristic, this person is not distracted easily. What does Islam have to do with that? How does Islam set us up for something like this? When you look at Islam, brothers and sisters, you find Islam doesn't speak about distractions too much. In fact, what it does is it helps instill certain habits inside of you and me. When you have these habits, naturally, you will become less vulnerable to distractions. So what do we mean by that? When you look at the workplace today, and we will go through statistics to explain this claim I'm making. When you look at the workplace today, one of the biggest distractions that's there is what? Is the two genders. Today when you look at statistics, females working in workplaces, they say 1 out of 3 claims, at least they're claiming, that this person has been harassed at one point or another. Okay, so that's 1 out of 3 on one hand. On the other hand, you have the male in the workplace. Who's doing the harassing? Well, in many cases, it will be the man. So a group of the women and a group of the men, they're what? They're totally distracted from this work that they are supposed to be focused on. The statistics, we have a lot of statistics in this regard. But when it comes to Islam, what happens? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that the only way you can solve this problem is to have this thought in the mind of this man that he knows that 24/7 he is being watched. The West tries to solve this problem with what? Let's add cameras here. Let's put some more guards here. Let's make the laws even stricter. What happens when you make the laws even more stricter? Sometimes people who are innocent are accused. That's how they go about it. Brothers and sisters, this will never be solved. In a culture, in a society like this problem will never be solved. You know why? Because you cannot watch a human being 24/7. You know what that's called? That's called prison. When you put a person in prison, you can watch them 24/7. You can monitor them. You can have them under surveillance. You can watch every little thing that they're doing. But if someone is supposed to live in a free society, you can't watch this person 24/7. You can't tell them what to do and what not to do 24/7. Islam knows this. Islam knows the only thing that will stop that male from feeling the courage to go out and harass a woman is knowing that the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is waiting for him. This is the only thing. Does this mean that a Muslim man will never do this? No. It means that this person is much less vulnerable to being distracted by these things. So you find Islam is setting us up to be efficient in the workplace. Not for you to just sit there and get by. I'm just getting by, never challenging yourself, never being efficient. This is not the way of Islam. Recite a salawat, please. This is why we have in the hadith, in particular when it comes to a man who is able to control what he looks at and what he does not look at, we have a hadith left and right, that someone who has this ability, araha qalbah, he puts his heart to peace. When this person, he cannot control what he looks at and what he does not look at, his heart is never at peace. You want a person like that to focus on the work that he's doing? He will never be able to focus. Imagine you're walking out, this person, everything he sees is a trigger for him. Of course he's not going to be able to be efficient. Of course he's not going to be able to work without distractions. When you look at our ulama, on the other hand, you find these people, because they had done the proper tahdhib, because they had trained themselves, when it came to working, whatever they were working on, these people worked without distractions for hours. Imam Khomeini, before he got into governments and politics and all of that stuff, his main purpose, the real thing that he was after, was educating himself, because he knew that if you don't have the proper knowledge, at the end of the day, you're going to do more harm than you do good. That's what happens. And we've seen multiple examples of this. I don't want to go into that. That's a talk for another time. But right now, in this particular part of his life, his goal is to gain knowledge. His colleagues say, we used to go sit in his hujra, in that dorm room of his sometimes. We wanted to study with him. His studying was very different from our studying. When he would study from Fajr until Dhuhr without distractions. We would sit there. He would never start talking to us. He would study without distractions. We never heard a word from him unless we asked a question from him. If we asked a question, we initiated a discussion or something like that, He would respond to us. But when he's taking care of the work that he has to take care of, he is a professional, brothers and sisters. He's not going to be distracted. How do we work, brothers and sisters? I spend 4.5 minutes on my work. I have to get my coffee. Too tired. Another 4.5 minutes I put into my work. Someone posted something on Facebook. 5 minutes passes. Twitter is blowing up about some random thing. Something is trending out there. This is the way we work. And then that's how our ulama used to go about their work. Recite a salawat, please. So this is the second characteristic. Let's move on to the third characteristic. The idea that when you make a promise, you're able to hold that promise, keep that promise. You're able to keep your word. Brothers and sisters, I don't even want to get started on what Islam has to say about this. Could that would take a while. I don't even want to get started on where we stand when it comes to this teaching of Islam and how distant we are from what Islam wants. Islam has taught us that even with a non-Muslim, even with your enemy, when you give them a promise, you have to keep that promise. The Prophet of Allah, when he started his mission, the beginning, everything wasn't just nice and dandy and Masjid al-Haram is there and the Kaaba is there. It wasn't like that. He had to deal with different groups. In particular, he had to deal with 3 groups of Jews. These Jews lived in Medina or around Medina. So with all of them, what did he do? There were peace treaties that he signed with all of them. All 3 of these groups, they broke these peace treaties, and because of this, all 3 of them were sent away from Medina. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us and His Prophet in the Quran. He says, Ya Rasulullah, when you sign a peace treaty, you make an agreement with another group, another party, فَمَا اسْتَقَامُوا لَكُمْ فَاسْتَقِيمُوا لَهُمْ. As long as they're holding on to their agreement and promise, you better do that as well. Inna Allah yuhibbul muttaqin. This is part of taqwa. With your enemy, you have to hold on to your promise, keep your promise. And then he says, Ya Rasulullah, if you feel like it's a situation where these people might break their agreements, you have a peace treaty with them, but you see them, they're doing some things that are suspicious. Not only that, you have solid proof that they are going to break their agreements. If you come to that conclusion, you cannot just break your promise and go and attack them. No. Even if they break the agreement, you have to go out there, you have to announce publicly that we no longer have a peace treaty. You have to let them know that that agreement that we had no longer stands. Why? Because if you don't do this, they will go around, they will say, oh, you see this Muhammad, he said he will do this, look at what he's doing now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches the Prophet. He says even if they break their agreements and you want to let them know, you have to go out there and announce this to them. This is when it comes to the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is when it comes to people who knowingly rejected the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then when it comes to our own brothers and sisters, you find that a brother says something and then he can't keep his promise. One tip, brothers and sisters. One of the reasons why we cannot keep our promises is because sometimes when it comes to giving these promises, handing out these promises, we get lost in the moment. Brother, sister, they get married. The brother starts making all of these promises. We'll have the perfect honeymoon, and then the perfect wedding, and then the perfect life, and then we'll buy the perfect house. What kind of a car you want? I'll get you the perfect car. Who told you to go out there and make all these promises? Sheikh, Maulana, they come, they take on a certain position. Yes, inshallah, we will do this and we will do that. Our youth will fall in love with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our community will flourish. This is not how the Prophet did it. You go out there, you talk of the things that you're absolutely sure of. Even that, you turn it down to 80-90% of what you're sure you can do. The rest of the things, you want to talk about it, you want to give people hope, that's good, you do that. Don't go out there throwing promises around. We will do this. No, inshallah, we will try to do this. We will try to do that. This one I cannot promise. One of the reasons why we can't keep these promises is because we get lost in the moment, and then you see this brother or sister throwing out promises left and right. When the time comes that he has to act upon these promises, he's not able to do them. This is an interesting hadith. Recite a salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Interesting hadith that we have from the Prophet. The Prophet made an appointment with someone. He made a promise to see him in a particular place. He went there was a big rock, big stone. He said, we're going to meet right here with this, alongside this big rock or stone. The person that the Prophet was waiting for, the Prophet came, he started waiting there. This person didn't come. Time passed by, the sun started moving around, it started shining upon the Prophet. The Prophet is in the sun of Saudi Arabia. This is the son of Saudi Arabia. This is not the son of Michigan, right? Son of Michigan, very different from the son of Saudi Arabia. The son of Saudi Arabia, the Prophet is sweating. The ashab came to him. They said, Ya Rasulullah, we see you sweating, as if the Prophet doesn't know himself that he can come and stand in the shade. They say, we see you sweating. Why don't you come over here and stand in the shade? The Prophet said, I made an appointment with this guy right here. I didn't make an appointment with him on the other side of this alley, on the other side of this pathway. I'm going to stand here. If he comes, fabiha. If he doesn't come, at least I have kept my promise. This is why we have hadith from the 6th Imam. He says, there are 3 things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you, regardless of who you're dealing with. Muslim, mu'min, kafir, mushrik, doesn't matter. Number 1, this person gives you an amana. You have to give that amana back, be it a Muslim or be it a non-Muslim kafir. Number 2, if this person is your parents, your mother or your father, you have to respect and obey them, be it Muslim or be it kafir. Number 3, when you give someone a promise, you have to keep that promise, regardless of whether this person is a Muslim or a kafir. Recite a salawat, please. Allow me to go through the 4th point and then inshallah get to the main point that we're trying to get to. The 4th characteristic, the 4th aspect of professionalism that we speak of is that this person, when he does his work, he does it in such a neat and organized fashion that you just love seeing him do whatever it is that he's doing. Sometimes you go to restaurants, brothers and sisters. This is just a small example I want to give and then move on to a story from the Prophet. Sometimes you go to restaurants, just see how people eat. Sometimes you come across Muslim brothers and sisters, the way this person eats, it's as if a hurricane just passed through the place. There is food left and right, on the table, beneath him, food under the feet, it's getting smushed. Such an embarrassing scene. If a non-Muslim walks in and sees this, they might think there was a fight happening here instead of someone just having a meal. When you look at the Prophet's approach was not like this. Even when it came to the smallest and the mundane things in his life, they say, when we talked about earlier, one of his companions by the name of Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh, he had bad akhlaq. If you remember, we went through that story. When he put Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh inside the grave, and the mother of Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh said what she said, the Prophet looked at this grave and saw this grave, it's not done in a neat and organized fashion. He started fixing the grave, removing a little bit of the dirt here, removing a little bit of the dirt there, moving some of these bricks that they've put in there. Before he got out, the Prophet turned to his ashab. He said, listen, I know what you're thinking. I know annahu sayabla. I know it's going to get messed up in a couple of days. There's going to be worms in here in a couple of days. I know that. But the problem or the issue is when a mu'min does something, he does it in the best way possible. إِذَا عَمِلَ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا أَتْقَنَهُ. When he goes about doing something, he does itqan. What does itqan mean? When you look at that thing, you find no flaws in it. Because he's done it in such a nice, neat, organized, professional manner. Recite a salawat, please. Allow me to move on to the last point, and this is the point that makes the Islamic perspective, brothers and sisters, superior. I will explain how this idea of professionalism has displayed itself, how it's manifested itself here in the West. And if you just pay a little bit of attention, you will see how silly things have become. When it comes to the West, what will the West teach you? If they want to be super inspirational, what would they teach you? They will say, find something that you're passionate about and do your best at it. That's as far as the West will go. There's nothing else that the West will bother to teach you. But Islam says it's not enough for you to just be a professional. What does Islam say? Islam says it also matters what you are being a professional at. Just saying be good at what you do. Okay, if I take on a job, it's harming people and I'm good at my job. Is that okay? Is that what we're talking about? Islam says no, but the West, doesn't matter, you're a professional, you're working in a professional environment. Today we have professionals, they build casinos, corporates, they invest in casinos, and then we have professionals who will counsel you so that you can get rid of your gambling addiction. Professionals on one hand, they're solving the problems that who caused? Other professionals. It's a silly cycle. You have professionals, they sell you, for example, cigarettes, you smoke these cigarettes, God forbid you get cancer, and then you have professionals who will come and try to fix this problem for you. They're working on the same problems that some other professional created. It's a silly cycle, brothers and sisters. When it comes to Islam, Islam is not okay with you just being a professional. Islam says you have to pay attention what you're being a professional at. Is that harming people or is that serving people? You know who else was a professional, brothers and sisters? Hitler was a professional. Do we admire Hitler? Not in a million years. This man was a professional. When he spoke, thousands of people would listen to this guy. He would influence people to go out and kill other people with his speeches. He had people rally around him in the middle of the chaos that was going on in Germany at that time. He had people rally around him. He took over a whole party. He took over France. He fought a battle on multiple sides, multiple fronts. That's what I call a professional. But was he a professional at something that helped people or harmed people? Allow me to go through one quick story as we're running out of time. Go through one quick story about another person who was a professional, brothers and sisters. This person is Ma'mun, the son of Harun al-Rashid. Recite a salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The son of Harun al-Rashid, Ma'mun, this Ma'mun that we hear of, brothers and sisters, there were multiple khulafa from Bani al-Abbas. There's a reason why we always hear about this Ma'mun. Ma'mun was the son of Harun al-Rashid. Harun al-Rashid was passing away. Everyone knew there are two children in the family, in the household. One of these two children is going to become the Khalifa after Harun al-Rashid. There's Amin and there's Ma'mun. Ma'mun, being a professional, he understood from a very young age that he has the lower hand. He has multiple disadvantages compared to Amin. Amin, his mother was Arab. And Ma'mun, his mother was Iranian. It's Persian, we should say. When it came to Amin, his mother was the wife of Harun al-Rashid. But when it came to Ma'mun, his mother was a maid of Harun al-Rashid. Naturally, his status amongst the people of Bani al-Abbas was much lower compared to Amin. Did Ma'mun give up? No, he's a professional. He wants khilafah. He's going to do anything to take over this khilafah. So what does he do? From a young age, as much as Amin is just spending time, having fun, going on vacation and hunting, Ma'mun is learning. He's gaining knowledge. He takes on his personal mentor by the name of Fadl ibn Sahl. Why? Because he's training himself for an important goal. You find when there are riots going on in the area of Marw, today's Khurasan, the father of Ma'mun sends Ma'mun. He says, Ma'mun, you go. He's in Baghdad. He says, you go to Khurasan. You take care of this riots. Why? Amin can't even take care of this stuff. You're capable. He sends Ma'mun to Khurasan. Ma'mun goes there. He takes care of the riots. After Harun al-Rashid passes away, Amin becomes the Khalifa. Is Ma'mun going to stop there? No. He's a professional. He wants Khilafah. He is going to get his Khilafah. He comes all the way from Khurasan in multiple battles. He reaches Baghdad. He kills his own brother. He puts the head of his own brother in his courtyard, whoever wants to come in to get money from Baytul Mal, whoever wants to come in to get their stipend, he says, you want your stipend? Go and disrespect the head of my brother and then come to me. This is how Ma'mun became Khalifa. I ask you, brothers and sisters, is this a professional? Definitely. He has a goal. He's willing to do anything to reach that goal. But is that enough for Islam? No. The West will just teach us to be professionals and that's it. Islam says, find something that's going to help people and be a professional. Otherwise, if you're going to be a professional at stealing people's money, something that we see in the financial world today. The financial world today, it's home to some of the brightest minds, brothers and sisters. But what do? Some of them, what do? Get people into debt, get people into loans, and that's it. Have this person work for the rest of his life, for the next 15 years. We have statistics, people are dying while they're in debt. This type of professionalism, is this what we're looking for? No, the type of professionalism that can serve humanity and our community. With that, inshallah, we will bring tonight's talk to an end. Let us send our salams to our beloved Imam in the plain of Karbala. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bifina'ik. عليك مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته.